Republicans, as I said yesterday, played the same game back and forth on this, but should the game stop? Because now they're getting in the way of anything getting done. How to stop this ridiculous Ringling Brothers type of circus reaction to dealing with matters that are close to everybody. Let's get the read from this from Eric McPike, the conservative commentator. We have Andrew Feldman, a former 2008 Obama canvass coordinator, and Alex Pappas, the Washington Examiner breaking news editor. Well, Aaron, let's go to you first on this, because I just think that whether it's a nuclear option, whether it's 50-plus votes or 60, right from the get-go, this guy was being torpedoed. And I guess it would have been the same and has been the same when a Democratic president makes choices as well. But now it's getting crazy, and crazy seems to dominate Washington. What's going on here?
Well, first, Neil, let me just point out that I am an independent and a reporter, not a conservative commentator. So I want to make that clear first. But look, I would say that Democrats have learned from Republicans. When Democrats were in power for so long and we had a Democratic president for 8 years, Republicans pursued a policy of intransigence, and that worked for them. It brought them back to power. So I think it's clear that we know now that Democrats think that that works, and that might bring them back to power. However, I don't think Democrats have totally figured out their strategy just yet. I've seen a lot of traffic from Democrats saying they have to think about new tactics and new methods and how they're going to get a word in edgewise with the media, with a Republican president, and with a Republican-controlled Senate and House, for that matter. So I think that's a really important point to note first. But I would point out to you this. Kirsten Gillibrand, who is a Democratic senator from New York, and also Cory Booker, who is a Democratic senator from New Jersey, they are never going to vote for Neil Gorsuch because they're obviously going to look at presidential runs in the future. The person I would look to is Pat Leahy, because he is the ranking member, the Democrat, on the Judiciary Committee. He is also the 5th longest-serving senator in history and a true statesman. And if he comes out against Neil Gorsuch, that will be a big problem, I think, going forward. But this is a process that's going to take a couple of months. I would point out that in a statement last night, Pat Leahy said that the Senate owes the American public a thorough and unsparing examination of Neil Gorsuch. So this is going to be a tough process.
No doubt.
That is for sure.
No doubt.
But I think look to Leahy.
Okay, Aaron, I'm sorry for misidentifying you, but I'm like Anchorman. If it's in the prompter, I read it.
Sure.
But let me ask you this, and I want to go to you on this, Andrew, because among the first to come out, even sight unseen, on this nomination was Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon, the Democrat who was trying to mount a filibuster before even getting wind and word of President Trump's pick here. And he freely admitted it was payback to the way Republicans handled Barack Obama's choice of Merrick Garland to replace Scalia last year. He freely admitted that. And I'm going back on that time and hearing, all right, Republicans justified it at the time, saying they were just imposing the Biden rule, which is in the final year of a president's administration. I think the gist of it was you wait for the new person to come in. Having said that, though, it's the old game of tit for tat. And someone's got to stand up and say, all right, this is getting old and this is getting stupid, but they don't. And I'm wondering if that is not only imperiling this judge's nomination process, but as we can see, so many good cabinet picks who, if you don't like, vote them down. But don't play these games where you're not going to go to the committee hearing or you're going to play these parliamentary rules to avoid the inevitable.
Neil, first, it's good to be with you. Look, I completely get what you're saying, and look, our politics are broken. In an ideal world, I would love for Democrats and Republicans to work together, just like Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan did in the 80s. But the reality is that's not where we are right now, Neil. And I just don't think that the Democrats can step aside and bow down and say, sure, McConnell, you can have your pick. Not a problem. We're just going to step aside, because the political context here, as the political context, Neil, that Aaron just mentioned is very important, right? The Republicans just a few months ago played politics to an extreme level, to an unprecedented level, never seen before, to stop a hearing even taking place for President Obama's nominee. And you know what? They've maybe endangered the stature and and
Well,
the
you know,
level
I
of
actually agree with
importance
that.
of
I
the
said
Supreme
so
Court.
at the time that there would be no
Absolutely.
harm in at least voting on Garland.
They could have at least done that.
And they probably had the votes to vote him down if they want to do anything, but they didn't. And here's where we are, back and forth, back and forth. But, you know, Alex Poppins of the Washington Examiner, what I'm wondering now is, what is the harm with a simple majority? I know the fear seems to be that we have the 60-vote rule because it goes beyond just whatever party is controlling the Senate. Usually they're never in bigger numbers than the low 50s to the high 40s for the other guys. But I don't know where that became such a big deal, where you had to have 60. And I know they call it the nuclear option. I don't know why. But what is wrong with a simple majority?
Well, because it preserves your ability to be able to filibuster and to stop somebody that's truly bad, and that's what Republicans are thinking about. They're saying, you know, we can invoke the nuclear option and lower that threshold, but what happens
it's a fear that if Republicans do this, that they're going to rue the day, that this will come back to haunt them under a Democratic president, and he or she is thrusting a Supreme Court appointed down their throats, that they will lose that protection. And because to me, it is what it is, a majority rules, and call it a day. Or am I being too simplistic?
Well, no, that's exactly what it is. I mean, Republicans are thinking about down the road. My question for Democrats, though, that may be pushing Trump to invoking the nuclear option is, what's the point? I mean, we all know, just looking at the numbers, Republicans are probably going to get Gorsuch through. So, you know, you go and invoke the nuclear option. Well, what happens next time Donald Trump gets a nominee? Well, he's not going to have to consider whether he has to try to win over any Democrats or moderate Republicans. He can go get somebody that's even more conservative. So, I mean, I get it. Democrats have a Tea Party problem of their own.
Yeah.
Somebody like Chuck Schumer may want to actually make a deal. May want to try to get some concessions from Trump.
And you should be very worried. Aaron, I'll end you on this. I think that they're going to avoid this debate with this particular choice, because they could look at Gorsuch as taking the place of a conservative justice, and so it's an even swap. They might fight with more armor for the next Supreme Court pick, because that's one where they don't want to see the balance tipped, and they might not make a big deal over the filibuster. Your thoughts real quickly on that?
Yeah, look, Neil, I think Democrats know that Gorsuch is going to get through. I think they're going to try to figure out what is the right strategy, and they're going to want to redefine their priorities publicly, and they're going to take the next 2 months to figure out exactly how to do that.
I hear you. All right, guys, thank you all very, very much. And again,